Welcome back, Deadheads. I'm Lupinefiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we're playing Gravy Bones Shipwrecked Looter. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my games. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the lines I would take now, compared to the lines I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new upload from Daily FaB Gameplay in your video feed. You can find a FaBery link to the decklist I'm playing here in the video description below, and you'll also find a link to my Patreon page. Subscribers can get access to matchup guides for all of my tournament-winning deck lists, and weekly bonus content including draft reviews and deck techs. Want to tighten and optimize your gameplay in real life? Use my affiliate link in the video description to buy your very own Codex journal, and be sure to use code LUPINE10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Finally, Daily FaB Gameplay is brought to you in part by Hemel from the Bazaar. It's never been more affordable to play in the flesh and blood. Players have been buying the cards they need from Hemel for years. I started buying from him in 2023 and have never found a better deal. The Bazaar's prices are the lowest for singles, full sets, and class sets, including new releases. High Seas, set bundles, singles, and more are available now and ship both domestically and internationally. Message Hamill on Blue Sky, Discord, email, or Twitter to see what he can do for you. All aboard the gravy train. I'm playing Brody Spurlock's Battle-Hardened First Place Vegas list. I chose to run Balance of Justice in this matchup, but I think that's wrong. In my head, Puffin draws a card every turn, or at least that's her plan. But drawing the second card every turn is not something that she's frequently doing. So, yes, it blocks 2, we have a card. This is really me experimenting with Balance of Justice and where we might want to play that over Crown of Dominion. This list has 9 tipples in it, so in theory, getting the gold train started shouldn't be difficult. But as you'll see in this game, tipples can be shy, and in that case, we really wish we had that opening gold to start with gravy. Also choosing to play quick dodge flexors in this matchup, just under the assumption that Puffin is going to be doing aggressive things. If she ever sends more than 2 chain links in the turn, then we can pitch an ally and block 4 with the flexors. As far as macro plan goes, we are assuming that Puffin is aggressive, and we can even see her Spitfire, which would indicate that is the case. So rather than try to put out multiple allies in the turn, we want to save our allies. If my turns look like go again attack, play ally, send ally, pass, I'm happy with that. Brody's list has a decent amount of other attacks. We have 9 tipples, he has Conqueror of the High Seas, and that is about it. So we're going to want to do some blocking as well, but Puffin has enough go again that if we put down 2 allies, she can easily kill them, and I don't want to just give her allies for free. Eventually we will run out and not be able to do anything except slowly block out and die. We won the die roll, we chose to go first. This hand is fine. It would look a lot better if we had a gold so that we could gravy away our sea legs. But we still have some options. We can play out Tip the Barkeep, make a Gold Kiss Rum. We can play Call to the Grave and just put an ally in graveyard, probably something like Rigor Mortis, or even Sawbones is going to start asking Puffin some serious questions like, can you keep 2 cogs untapped in order to Spitfire my Sawbones for 3? We could play out a Swabby, which asks the same question, but this turn is going to be more about setup than payoff. We can compass the top of our deck just to see what's there, but because we don't have the gold, we have no way of actually getting to it. So what I like doing here is tip, Call to the Grave just to get something started. We can put an ally in graveyard. Alternatively, we could tip, play Sea Legs by pitching Give No Quarter and then Arsenal Call to the Grave, which just gets Sea Legs out of our hand. Call to the Grave is a much better card in Arsenal than Give No Quarter. Although Give No Quarter is kind of pseudo-pitch in Arsenal, which isn't bad. Choosing the Rigor Mortis here I think is fine, though probably better off grabbing Sawbones or at least Swabby. Got a Jolly Bludger coming in for 5. There's no Overpower. Puffin has no cogs with which to crank, so we are going to want to block this. We can go ahead and Compass now and just see what our Sink Below would draw into. We find a Conqueror of the High Seas, so we can sink our Sea Legs to the bottom of the deck, draw that Conqueror, send that Conqueror, probably just getting Puffin's Crown of Providence. The awkwardness there is we can't play Loot the Hold and attack with Rigor Mortis in the same turn because we don't have a way to turn on Rigor Mortis while also pitching 2 blues to send Conqueror. So what we're probably going to be doing is just blocking 4, blocking 5. We'll put Gold Baited Hook in front of this. We don't want to give Puffin our Gold Kiss Rum. We'll sink our Sea Legs. We'll draw our Conch, and probably just sending Conch for 8 go again, break the chain, play our Give No Quarter, then send, play and send Rigor Mortis for 6. Presenting 14 damage and asking Puffin how she wants to deal with Rigor Mortis. It's not a great turn cycle. I do think that the start of this game is a bit scuffed, both by the combination of Balance of Justice rather than Crown of Dominion. I also think not Arsenal and that Call to the Grave really set us up for failure. If we had Call here, then we could have put a second ally in graveyard so that yes, we're sending Rigor Mortis for 6, but we have effectively drawn a card with Call, so that when Puffin kills this on her next turn, we still have something to do. This hand is absolutely atrocious, and again, wow, we really wish we had some gold here so that we could actually get some of these allies into our graveyard without having to really bend over backwards to do it. So let's see what Puffin does on her turn. We can decide how we want to navigate ours. We do have the Gold Kiss Rum that is going to let us either double ally or ally attack. We've got a Cloud City Steamboat coming in for 6. Presumably Puffin will tap a cog in order to put a steam counter on another cog. How do I think that she can get go again, or at least an action point? Sorry, she has the action point by attacking with, or by cranking both cogs from cog in the machine. So we've got Cloud City Steamboat coming in for 6. Puffin will tap a cog, put a steam counter on it, then send Spitfire tapping the other cog to kill our Rigor Mortis. We can't block this. We need our Avasti in order to play out cards from hand, and we're going to have to use Gold Kiss Rum to cheat it because we don't have a way to get any of these into our graveyard to use our Compass to give it go again. So we're going to have to Gold Kiss Rum, which means that we are probably pitching a Rigor to play a Rigor and then pitching Avasti to play Swabby. What I really want to do is break the Gold Kiss Rum, pitch Swabby to play Rigor Mortis, then play Avasti, attack with Rigor Mortis, and then play the second Rigor Mortis, but we are 1 resource short of being able to do all of that. We need 4 resources for that line, 3 resources for that line, and we only have 2 in Swabby. An ally has not gone to the graveyard this turn, so we can't Dead Threads, and we don't have a way to put an ally into the graveyard this turn. So as much as I don't want to double ally against Puffin, it's really the only thing this hand is capable of doing. And at the very least, it again asks Puffin a question: how are you going to create enough action points to attack me and to kill both my allies? Or are you just going to give me 2 allies? Alternatively, we get to attack with the Swabby. This is a line that I did not just see, and I think this line is much better than just double ally, because it asks Puffin a question: how are you going to block this? But the Avasti also potentially gives us gold. Sorry, we didn't play the Avasti. No, we're just sending 7. weird hand, weird turn. Seems like it was navigated fine, just because Puffin is capable of creating so many action points. I don't know if the 7 was actually better than the Rigor Mortis. If anything, these turns have just taught me don't play Balance of Justice against heroes that aren't for sure drawing 2. Or if you are going to play Balance of Justice, draw your tipples a little sooner. Now we're in a weird spot where we have our first tipple and no yellows to discard to it. That's some very clunky draws here. But we do have a Sunken Treasure. Puffin does have yellow cards in her graveyard, so we will be able to create a gold, which is going to let us start using Gravy Bones, or at least make the top card of our deck relevant. We also have Call to the Grave that is going to let us potentially start getting some more allies into graveyard. We have a Tip the Barkeep, so we can make another Gold Kiss Rum in case we draw into another clunker. We have all the components of starting to have a decent game, but we're still waiting for the deck to really come together. We've got a Soup Up for 4 Go again that's going to kill Swabby. So, you know, Swabby was still 11 points of value, which isn't bad. And we have this blue Tipple, which is going to kill Polycranka. So, overall, we're also 6 life up. It's like this game doesn't look terrible. It's just compared to other Gravy games we've seen so far, this could be going a lot better for us. Just waiting to see what the rest of Puffin's turn looks like. I would like to Compass at some point just to see, after I block with Sunken Treasure, is it worth trying to break the gold? Because if I can pitch a blue in order to draw an ally that I can then discard to tipple, I'm feeling great. We finally start to get some gold going. Puffin has drawn with gold this turn, so we are going to be able to break our Balance of Justice, which is why I'm blocking with it here. We actually get some value out of it, so hey, we did it. We draw into a Swabby, which is great, and now I don't need to Compass. I can pitch, tip the Barkeep, play Golden Tipple, discard the Swabby, draw a card, make another gold, and then decide if I want to Compass. What does my turn look like? Do I need to know what the top card of my deck is? Presenting a Polycranka, of course. We need to get the bird dead. We draw into a Chart the High Seas, which is really interesting because we will either be able to create 3 more resources or hopefully put allies into our yard, which is really what we want to have happen here. Also, if the chart misses, we still have lines where we could just play out and then attack with a Swabby. Like, it isn't great, but I do think playing the chart here is better than playing Call, fetching another ally, playing out the Swabby and attacking with it. Because in theory, the chart can do both of those things, and then also give us a Call to the Grave. So let's go ahead and break the chain. Play the chart. We really want to hit an ally here? We don't, unfortunately, but we are going to get to pitch a blue. We'll see that we have an Anka on top of our deck. And because we have 2 golds, I think I'm interested in playing that Anka. The other interesting thing about Anka here is that Puffin draws cards, and she has gold. And so if we play the Anka rather than the Swabby, we are putting Puffin into a position where she actually has to care about the Anka before she starts cranking all of her cogs. And if we think that Puffin's turn is going to result in drawing a card, we can Anka in response. The Anka also starts to get more allies into our graveyard. So we have the resources to play and attack with a Swabby. We've made a gold with Tipple this turn, which means we get to hook. And I don't hate, 1, generating more gold, and 2, stealing Puffin's gold. So I think what I want to do here in order to put some pressure on Puffin and also set up for future turns is gravy that Anka into my graveyard, then play and attack with Swabby, also using the hook, which I think I just straight up forget to do this turn, but we'll see. There's anything wrong with playing the Anka, but the reason that I don't want to play the Anka is I'm missing 2 points of damage and I'm floating 2 resources. This just seems like not an efficient use of resources. I've also just straight up forgot to activate my hook, which is definitely something I should have done. So the Anka potentially puts Puffin in a weird spot for navigating her turn cycles, but especially if I remembered my hook, I would have liked to have played an attack with the Swabby instead. But in any case, we push some damage, we do have this Anka, we have a Swabby chilling in our graveyard now, we finally draw into another Tipple, plus an Anka. Puffin has cranked a Cog, and is sending a Dovetail at us. With 2 Cogs out, we're expecting that this is going to get +1 go again, and then Puffin will Spitfire our Anka to kill it. It's totally fine. We have follow-up plays, and we're finally in a position to start setting up. So we could play Tip the Barkeep, make a Gold Kiss Rum. We could then pitch Call to the Grave, play Golden Tipple, send 2 at Puffin, discard our Anka, put another ally into the graveyard, and we have Call to the Grave so that we can see, if we don't like what's on top of our deck, or we think that we haven't quite gotten to where we want to be, then we can just find a new ally and shuffle. So we have an Anka and a Swabby in the yard. We have not turned on our hero yet, so breaking the combat chain, we could just play Tip the Barkeep. That turns on our ability to play allies and gives us a Gold Kiss Rum. We have 5 resources available, which could play out the Swabby and attack. We could Call to the Grave a Sawbones. What the Sawbones does for us is let us use the Gold Kiss Run that we just made. We Tip the Barkeep. We play out Anka. We use the Gold Kiss Run, play out Sawbones, and then use our 5th resource to attack with the Sawbones. And that seems pretty good because not only are we double allying, which Puffin does need to care about, the Sawbones is going to make it so that Spitfire for 2 targeting Sawbones doesn't kill it. Puffin does need to keep 2 cogs untapped for the Spitfire, and it also says that we get the Anka ability to put another ally into our graveyard and make it so that Puffin can't draw from her hero power, or at least when she does, she has to discard a card. So the line I like here is Call to the Grave from Arsenal, find Sawbones, put it into graveyard, play Tip the Barkeep, make our Gold Kiss Rum, use the Gold Kiss Rum to double ally, and then use Dead Threads to attack with Sawbones. I find a Rigor Mortis instead. This is enough to Rigor Anka, but this does just seem worse than Sawbones. We're missing the 1 resource for Dead Threads, or we're not using our resource from Dead Threads. We could have done this same turn, except this Rigor Mortis is a Sawbones, which attacks for the same amount of damage, is harder to kill, and keep some Rigor Mortis in our deck for the late game when we just need a way to convert 2 resources into 6 damage. So I don't like that play. I think that was short-sighted, and if this Rigor Mortis is a Sawbones, then potentially Puffin can't make this play. We could Compass here and see if there's a reason to Anka before we take that damage, because now Puffin could, in theory, draw a card. Puffin choosing to leave our Rigor Mortis alone. Sorry, no, she won't. She will hit with the Zeppelin, create a new cog, and then Spitfire our Rigor Mortis. But see, here's the thing, is if this Rigor Mortis was a Sawbones, Puffin can't make that play, or at least she can, but she needs a Unicycle to do it. Are we going to block this? The answer is no. Speaking of Unicycle, Puffin can still get this Zeppelin over the top of our blocks. We would need to commit a lot of cards to stopping this. We would need to commit Portside Exchange and both Tipples to block 7. Then Puffin could tap a Golden Cog, untap. Well, she wouldn't be able to Spitfire. So we could keep our Rigor Mortis alive and just put 7 block in front of the Zeppelin. Even with the Unicycle, Puffin would be able to get it over the top, but then wouldn't be able to tap a cog to the Zeppelin effect. And on our turn, we just pitch Chum, attack with Rigor Mortis. or Compass to see if Gravy finds a blue, or, just whatever that we want in our arsenal, and then we Dead Threads attack with Rigor Mortis. Maybe that's the play I'm supposed to make. It prevents 6 damage. It lets us return fire. I don't hate that line. The pitch port side, play Tipple, discard Chum, draw a card, make a gold line is pretty cool. But it does, we could be at 26 right now and also in a position where we still have that Rigor Mortis. So that's kind of an interesting line that I didn't see, something to think more about. We just commit a bunch of cards and make sure that our opponent can't kill our ally. I want to Tipple here, make another gold, put another Sawbones into my graveyard. We find an Avasti, which I don't believe we need at this moment. I would need to check what's in my graveyard. We can Compass and just see. We have an Anka on top of our deck. We only have 2 resources without pitching this Avasti. So we might need to pitch it in order to actually do something this turn, as much as I don't want to. We only have 2 resources, and between our allies, which are a Chum, a Sawbones, and a Swabby, that isn't enough to play and attack with a thing. So what is now the best way to navigate this turn? It might just be Sawbones, put that Anka into our graveyard, play and attack with the Anka, and then Puffin still needs to care about our Anka. We haven't put a blue into our graveyard yet, so we would need to Gravy. Alright, that's going to be the line. So we Gravy, we put the Avasti into our graveyard. With the Anka on top of our deck, we have 4 resources, which is enough to play and attack with the Sawbones. We could also play and attack with a Chum, but I think the Sawbones is a little harder for Puffin to answer. And we also remembered to hook this turn, so if this hits, we make a goal. And that's pretty cool, which it does, and we do. But it's kind of an awkward way to navigate this game so far. We are at least sticking to our intended macro plan of go again attack followed by ally. And we have a healthy enough ally count in our graveyard that we are able to continue doing this. The hand that we draw into is fine. We have a Loot the Hold, which will allow us to pressure Puffin. The Sawbones is going to die. Unfortunately, Spitfire is coming in for 3. And Puffin still has an action point, so we'll see what she can do with that. Coming in with a Jolly Bludger, and this is overpowered. So Puffin has 1 remaining cog. She could get the Jolly Bludger up to 7 if she wanted to, and that would involve using the golden cog, the copper cog to give Bludger +1, using Unicycle to untap a cog, and then tapping that untapped cog to give Bludger another +1 up to 7. Do we care if Puffin steals one of our golds? Not really. If we really wanted to, we could Dead Threads the quick dodge flexors after Puffin uses the unicycle and just trade our boots for her boots. Doesn't seem very good. Let's take a peek at what's on top of our deck. Finding another Sawbones, it's pretty alright. We could try to pitch Murderous Rabble, draw that Sawbones, portside exchange the Sawbones into the graveyard to draw another card and make another gold. We would have 2 resources floating after that. We would need a 3rd one, or rather we'd have 1 resource floating and Dead Threads. We, whatever we draw off the top of the deck is then fine to play Loot the Hold and attack with the Sawbones, so that's not terrible. I don't want to lose all of my gold to the Jolly Bludger, which means I do need to block with 2 cards, which is probably going to be Sunken Treasure and Murderous Rabble. Then I am intending to Gravy my Sawbones into the graveyard, play Loot the Hold, and attack with Sawbones for 6 after playing it. It's kind of a weak turn, but Puffin doesn't have any armor, so it does force her to give us 2 cards, or else lose 1 to Loot the Hold, and we develop that Sawbones. So, it doesn't seem like a terrible play. We'll just flip another Bludger. I doubt this Puffin's on backup protocol yellow, but in case she is, Jolly Bludger is the most devastating thing that she could get back. We do have a line where we pitch Loot to Hold into gold, then play Portside Exchange, but that just seems so much less powerful than Gravy. Choosing instead to draw a card first, this seems risky. We are not particularly rewarded, as Give No Quarter just kind of doesn't do anything right now. We don't know what's on top of our deck, so I don't want to pitch into gold again and draw a new card, because if it's an ally, that's pretty bad for us. At this point, though, we do at least get to play Swabby, which is slightly better than Sawbones, but again, I just don't think this line was necessary. Seems like a very risky, a very greedy draw gold where we have everything we need in our hand and on top of our deck. I don't really know what I'm looking for. This turn is insane for Puffin. Skywarden blocking for 5 and making 3 golds is really nice. That's me checking the prompts from Talachar to see if there's a nice or a cool or a good job. Sadly, there's not. Seafloor Salvage is going to flip, I believe, our Chum face over, which is too bad for us. So at this point, our only ally is a Sawbones, which is a good ally. If we can put a blue into our graveyard this turn, then we get to Conqueror Sawbones. We could also Death Threads, which I'm planning to do. I'll get to Tipple, Pitch Barkeep, discard Sawbones, draw a card. If I rip a blue, then I'm in a really good spot. We have a Conqueror coming in for 8-go again. That's going to be followed by Spitfire killing our Sawbones, which actually, killing our Swabby rather. Just too bad. Puffin really good at putting these turns together that just kill our allies. It really does highlight, maybe I should be trying to double ally here. We're going to go ahead and hook. Golden Tipples does seem like a good hook target because it is just a little awkward for Puffin to block this. She has to give us a whole card. With that whole card being Tuffle Wrench, it's pretty good. 2 covers 2, and she even makes a second Golden Cog. Though this one does get cranked, which should tell us that Puffin has another way to galvanize in her hand. Let's take a peek at what's on top of our deck. If it is a blue, we could think about drawing it. It is a blue, it's a back alley break line. So if we break the chain, does that do anything for us? We currently have 4 resources available, so we could break our gold, draw a card, pitch blue, Dead Threads, and Conquer for 8-go again. That isn't great. How do we get a Sawbones onto the board as well? If we Gravy the back alley into the graveyard, we make a second action point which we can't use. We do have 4 total resources available, which is basically play a Sawbones, pitch Sink Below, attack for 6, Arsenal Conqueror. That doesn't seem very good. I believe the line here is going to be break gold, then Gravy, and we are really looking for another blue. What are we doing here? Why did I undo? Why do? Gravy here in order to get the back alley break line into graveyard, which is enough to turn on the Sawbones, which means I'm just attacking for 6? That doesn't seem good at all. I don't like that play one bit. I think we were supposed to break gold here. Yeah, this play doesn't seem very good. I feel like the line was break gold, draw that back alley, then Gravy, draw another card, and just keep fishing. Try to find some more resources so that we can do more than just play a Sawbones. Puffin did have the other Galvanize, is able to draw a card by cranking twice on our turn, which is pretty good. She now gets to draw a card on her turn as well, so Puffin really just churning through the deck. We draw into a kind of interesting hand here where we have multiple Sea Legs and a Golden Tipple. We are going to lose our Sawbones here to this Sky Skimmer for 3. Go again. And we'll see what else Puffin does with the turn. We can gravy a sea legs into our graveyard. Hopefully draw a blue and then pitch that blue to Tipple, discarding Chum, which will turn on our Dead Threads. And then Tipple's going to turn on our hero. But we'll just see what else Puffin has going on. I really want another blue so that I can Conqueror. It's also contextual on whether Puffin arsenals this last card or not. Pitching a Copper Cog to draw. Pitching a Tough Old Wrench to draw. What can she do with 2 resources, if anything? Plays out a Sky Skiff. And gives it Go Again. Which seems like she's intending to untap a cog with her Unicycle and send 2. Sending 6 instead of 7. We're going to go ahead and discard a Sea Legs to that Gravy activation, and now I'm going to Compass to see what my Sink Below will draw. Draws a Chart the High Seas. So now in an interesting spot where we can gamble on the chart. So if we block this Cloud Skiff for 4 with Sink Below and bottom Sea Legs, we draw that chart. Then we're in a spot where we can go pitch the chart to attack with Tipple and discard Chum. Or we can play the chart, hope to flip a blue as our pitch to do Tipple into Chum, while also, turning on our gravy. So I do like Sink into Sea Legs. If nothing else, we block 4, we take 1, let Puffin Unicycle Spitfire. We get to make the call on chart. We're either going to put some more allies into our graveyard and turn on our hero power, or we're going to do that and gain resources. We could also boat here, but if we Conqueror, we don't turn on our hero, and then we just have this Chum, and that's sad, so we for sure aren't boating here. I think the good line is to chart. We've gone through enough of our deck that we should be able to put at least a blue into pitch, and we do. Unfortunately, we don't also have an ally, and we don't have any allies left in our graveyard, so it is nice that we have this Chum at least. Drawing into a Tipple. The line here is going to be play the Chum. What am I digging for if I gold? What am I digging for if I gold? If I draw a blue, then I get to send Conqueror into Float a Resource, send Tipple, pass. If I draw a yellow, I get to be sad. Yeah, this line doesn't seem good. I don't like breaking the gold here. I like just using Dead Threads, pitching Tipple, playing Chum, send 4, and then we keep that Conqueror. So still gonna do that same line, except now we're short a gold. So that seemed greedy. Yeah, we had the 2 resources to break a gold, but like, why? What are we drawing? What is good that we can draw that's in our deck? Another ally so that we can Dead Threads Tipple, but then if we draw a blue, we can't do anything with it because we can't pay for our Conqueror or our Chum. That was just a bad line. I don't like that line one bit. But I do like having this Chum. We get to send 4. There's a hook attached to it. Puffin doesn't have any gold for us to steal, but we do like making gold. And this Chum is going to exist. This 6 is going to be hard for Puffin to deal with, while also presenting meaningful damage to our face. If Puffin decides to ignore the Chum and send face, then we have a lot more flexibility in how we're blocking, knowing that we still get to send damage back at Puffin. As far as our allies go, we have none available to play. Just doing a quick red count. We have pitched now, or our 3rd red Tipple is in our pitch stack. We pitched a Sink Below on our last turn. We should still have a Conqueror in our deck, and now in our hand we have a Conqueror in our arsenal. Which means that this Palantir coming at our face says that we get to send Conk, Conk, Chum for a 5-card 20. Which should be lethal. The question is, can Puffin kill us? And I believe the answer is no. I don't believe that Puffin has any instant speed interaction that would buff this Palantir up past 9. So she can Cog, Unicycle, Cog to get it up to 9 and trigger the Destroy a Blocking Card effect. She could cog, lubricate, and then cog again to get it up to 9. But with only one resource and one card in hand, I don't think there is anything Puffin can do that makes this lethal damage, which means that I am going to block with Dead Threads, just because if Puffin goes for some kind of line, well, hey, I'm blocking one. But I want to take the greedy line, which is just keeping these 3 blues so I can conk, jump, and win the game. I also just, with my knowledge, everything Puffin could do to buff this Palantir is face up. So if she played perk up and send the Palantir, then now we actually have to block. We have to respect it. But as it is, I get to just send 20, which should be enough to put the game away, depending on what Puffin has available. We have no allies for Puffin to flip. She does get to flip the sea legs, so she will make a gold, but I'm not super concerned about it. And then we get to Boat, and Conqueror presents lethal damage. If Puffin just gives us a 3 block, takes 5 times 3, Chum is lethal damage, and instead Puffin just shows us 2 items, so that's enough to win the game. Interesting one here. I think the macro plan was solid, where we wanted to go again into Ally, and the go again was either going to be Tipple, or Conqueror, or a Vasti ally into Ally. Double allying seemed stronger than I thought it would be, just based on Puffin not quite having the go again to attack face and ally and second ally. Spitfire also taxes Puffin's ability to leave cogs untapped, because if we have something like a Swabby and a Sawbones, Puffin can't send like Cloud Skiff at Swabby, give it go again, send Spitfire at Sawbones, because you would need 3 cogs to make that happen, or would have needed to use the Unicycle, which is a once only. So going back to that Rigor Mortis turn, if the Rigor Mortis is Sawbones, then Puffin's turn gets a lot harder, and she probably blocks with Unicycle and gives it to us there, which just takes away her options for future turns. So my mistake in this game, for one thing, was not playing Crown of Dominion, because Jesus Christ, we really needed a goal in the first 3 turns of the game. But 2, also mismanaging which allies I was prioritizing. Sawbones goes way up when Puffin is on limited cogs, because she needs to keep 2 cogs untapped to Spitfire the Sawbones. And that's a lesson we can take forward with us. Also, if Puffin is ever on Blunderbuss, then Sawbones goes way up in value, because Puffin cannot get the Blunderbuss to 3 on its own. She needs to put something else behind it. And if she's gonna like perk up Blunderbuss a Sawbones, like great. Sawbones was just a 12 value play. Lot to learn about Gravy. Very complex deck, very happy to be playing it. And I hope you're happy I'm playing it too. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to hook that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. They're free. They help me out a lot. I have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, links to which are in the video description below. I'll be back with more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.